thousands of years, humans have sung together, creating harmony, beauty, community, and joy. Here on How Can I Keep From Singing, we talk about this ancient art form, exploring the power, the reasons, and some of the how-to. I'm your host, Stuart Stotts, coming to you from rural Wisconsin, and my guest today is Joanne Hammil.
Break 'em on down, break 'em on down, break 'em on down, these walls between us. Break 'em on down, break 'em on down, break 'em on down, these walls between us. Break 'em on down, these walls between us.
Joanne Hammil is a composer, songwriter, choral director, music educator, and performer. Her passions for singing in harmony and creating community through music infuse her songwriting and her teaching. She has directed many choruses throughout her career and has presented hundreds of workshops and concerts throughout the country. Her own songs and choral pieces have been performed and recorded by many artists and have become standards in songbooks, harmony circles, and choir repertoires. I'm also proud to call Joanne a long-term friend. Welcome to How Can I Keep From Singing, Joanne?
Thanks so much, Stuart. It's so good to chat with you here.
You've been doing this a long time, leading choruses in particular. Why did this become so much a part of your career? You're a very fine songwriter, very fine singer, performer, all of those things. And I know you do those things as well, but choral singing has been a huge part of what you do.
That's true. I didn't grow up in a musical family, so there were no records, there was no singing. I apparently loved to sing, or at least I was left in a playpen for long hours, so I had nothing else to do but to vocalize. My mom used to tell me stories praising me. I was such a good baby. She could leave me in the playpen for hours and I would just la la la. I have a different reaction than her. But so I always liked vocalizing, I guess. But the real hit came when I joined Brownies when I was 6 years old. They were singing in harmony. Oh my gosh, my mind was blown just from little Brownie songs, but we did it in 4-part rounds. Who knew anything about rounds? I'm sure I must have sung in kindergarten or first grade before Brownies, but I think it was just like, where is Thumpkin? Little things like that. In Brownies and then later in Girl Scouts, there was so much singing in harmony that to me, it opened up a world of magic. What you can do when you're all singing together, creating this beautiful, powerful thing that we cannot create on our own, that's what turned me on.
I've heard several people talk about the importance of singing in camps in particular, which is very similar to, I think, what you're talking about.
Right.
But you're adding this other element, which is the element of harmony. Could you talk a little bit about the power of harmony in group singing?
I just think there's nothing like it. To me, that's the highest high. Every voice is important, but together we do something phenomenal that we just cannot create on our own. And I love bringing out each person's voice when I'm doing a workshop or directing a chorus or something and bringing out the confidence to sing. But then when we blend with either chords or polyphony, that's when lines intertwine and create harmony that way instead of chordally. There's just something, I want to call it magical because that's how it feels to me. That to me is the ultimate high. I mean, I love any kind of group singing. I love leading rallies and such, but when you sing in harmony, what you're doing is not just singing your own voice, you're listening to the other voices. So you're relating to people through your voice, through their voices, as well as creating something yourself. You're creating something together.
There is something incredibly powerful when the harmony blends and meets and voices are all in balance, and the kind of listening that's required for that to happen. It's not just about singing, it's about listening.
That's exactly right. I can't stand it when I hear music teachers say to people as they're directing a chorus or a class in harmony, they say, hold on to your part. And I can't stand that phrase. I want people to not hold on to their part, to sing, but open their ears and listen to what everybody else is singing. And that's how we blend together, and that's how we create something amazing.
Joanne, how do you teach that?
How much time do you have?
We're looking for the 3-minute version here.
I mean, I teach little kids even before kindergarten and preschools about harmony in very basic ways. So I have whole methods for doing that. I have run many children's choruses and many adult choruses, and so I have lots of methods for singing in harmony together and for taking anybody who comes into my chorus. They're always non-auditioned, and people tell me, "Oh, I can't sing, but I really want to be in your chorus." I say, "Sure." And by the end of a semester, they're singing solos because it's a confidence thing. Teaching harmony is a lot to do with confidence, listening, and knowing that you're one of many in a machine. And that's so exciting.
I was talking with someone the other day. She talked about how for many years she was, I guess you would call it the soprano one, which was holding the melody. And she got moved to soprano two, and she was terrified. And yet, once she was able to sort of lock into that, she said she never wanted to go back because she actually preferred singing harmony to the melody because of the way it sounded.
That's exactly the beauty that people discover when they start singing in harmony. Yes.
You've worked with kids and adults.
Yes.
What do you notice is different in your approach as far as building a sense of group singing?
It's not so different, actually. It's honoring each kid or person's voice. It's making each person feel comfortable about their voice, and then they're able to create something amazing. I mean, with kids, I often pull people out, not necessarily a good singer, to lead their section so that somebody has a visual marker to look at to sort of, stay on their part while they're listening to the other parts. But it doesn't have to be somebody who can sing well. That person is looking at their group and learning from them. With adults, I don't have to do that so much when we're singing in harmony. But there's not that much difference except for the complexity of the pieces. And I've done very highbrow kinds of choruses, and it's exciting. It's exciting no matter what level you're at.
You work as a conductor or director quite a bit. Do you
Yes.
get to sing in choruses and experience that yourself as a singer part of a group?
Yes, I often do. It turned me on in high school when I first was able to join a chorus. That was the first time in my life I'd had that experience. And then in college, I sang in a terrific chorus. We toured Europe, and it was great. And I was a student conductor, so it gave me that thrill too, as well as singing in a group. It gave me the thrill of being able to bring it out of other people and lead people. And I still, yeah, I sing for fun with groups. I'm in a round singing group. We meet every month. I don't know. I just finished teaching a 6-day course, 2 classes a day on singing in harmony up in New Hampshire at a conference, and I was singing with them as well as teaching them. I love it. I love singing, no matter what kind. And I have 2 little grandchildren now that I sing to, and sure, there's a ton of singing in my life from my own voice.
Joanne, I know you partly as a composer of rounds. I know you have books. You've written a lot of rounds, let's put it that way. Could you talk a little bit about that process? Because you're a master at doing this. How do you think about that, or what informs your creative process?
It just comes to me. I don't know if I've taught courses on how to write rounds, but it's really something I feel. I just love the way a line is beautiful unto itself, but 3 other beautiful lines can dovetail with it. I was a math major before I switched to music, and so I love that kind of puzzle. So I can sit at the piano and I feel so excited writing around. I've written over 150 of them, and I have 4 books and 4 CDs of my published rounds now. I have to tie my hands from writing more because it's my nature, and I want to write bigger choral pieces and all kinds of things. And but that to me, it's a marriage of math and music in a way, and that just turns me on.
There's an interweaving that goes on between the parts and then making them all fit and come together. I've written, I think, maybe 2 rounds in my life, so I have tremendous respect for what you do.
And how each line has to be beautiful unto itself. It's not just creating a vertical harmony, which some people do, but you have to have beauty through the whole round.
Can you see the uniting
You're listening to How Can I Keep From Singing? My name is Stuart Stotts, and my guest today is Joanne Hammil.
I'm sticking to the union. I'm sticking to the union. I'm sticking to the union.
What's the difference for you in teaching harmony versus teaching rounds? And they're certainly connected in a certain way, and yet it's a different kind of thing, I think.
One delight of rounds is that you don't have to sit with your part. You don't have to sit in one part. Anybody can be anywhere. So I can mix up a group really easily, and you can enjoy singing with all different voice ranges and still singing around. In a chorus, I'm always having people balance their parts and listen to the other parts, but in a round, it's particularly effective because they're hearing the same thing that they're singing. So they have to match volume levels and tonality and timbre and all kinds of things to make it really blend. It's a beautiful thing.
It's a beautiful thing to listen to when you hear all those parts working together. The whole is greater than the sum of its parts, kind of.
Right. But you can actually hear the different parts. You can hear basses and sopranos and singing the same thing, but interweaving. Oh, it's beautiful. Yeah.
You've been doing this quite a while. Have you noticed a difference from when you started, both in yourself as a teacher and leader, but also in the people that you work with?
Not sure how to answer that. It's so varied. I often get people coming to me saying they can't sing, and maybe more than used to be, they're willing to try with my push, you can do it. But I think a lot of people used to be damaged in schools when the teachers told them not to sing because they couldn't hold a tune. And they're damaged for life. And a lot of people didn't used to be able to come out of that psychological burden. And now people are they're more willing to try.
Why do you think that is?
I don't know, a more permissive society, a more self-centered society, less discipline coming down on people and more self-empowerment than it used to be. I mean, I'm talking the difference between when I grew up in the 50s and 60s to now. So there's a long stretch there, but I think in general, both the anti-war movements, the feminist movement, movements have empowered people as individuals a little bit more. So they're a little bit more willing.
And then how have you evolved as a leader of group singing?
I don't mean that I was never kind. I was always kind, but I am more and more and more kind over the years, honoring what each person must have gone through in their lives to be how they are now. And that makes my teaching so much better. I guess that's the main thing. I have a softer, not that I was ever harsh at all, but I have a softer understanding of the depths of people's either distresses or joys or quirks. And I'm more able to galvanize groups of many different kinds of people together, maybe because of that.
Who did you learn from in doing this work?
As I said, there were no records in my house, so it was more singing in choruses and listening to the radio. And yet there were amazing people in the folk music big surge in the 60s when I was growing up. I was in high school in the early 60s and college in the late 60s. And so, of course, the Joan Baez's and the Bob Dylan's and the Peter, Paul and Mary's and the Pete Seeger, of course, is my hero. I learned by listening. And then I learned about organizations like the People's Music Network of Songs for Freedom and Struggle that I joined in the 80s. And then I was one of the founders of the Children's Music Network, which is where you and I met. And those groups of wonderful people who all had similar goals to make the world a better place through music, to make a difference through music, to politicize some of the deepest problems in our society through music and get people to think about it more. I am forever grateful to everybody like you who I met through those organizations. That really influenced me hugely. I just feel blessed about it. I could have gone through life without knowing all those activists, and it was powerful.
You mentioned politics. How does your own political thinking or work connect to this work of group singing?
It connects hugely. I try not to let it show too much because I do direct people of all kinds of philosophies and political bents. But of course, I write songs and I choose songs by fabulous songwriters that have my orientation. And I have an effect that way, both with children and with adults. There's so many fabulous songwriters. I've arranged your songs for my children's choruses, especially. So many ways to be smart is one of the high points of people's years. And I created harmony to it, of course. And many adult singer-songwriters, Joe Jenks, Ruth Pelham, all these people that I love, I've taken their songs and arranged them in four-part harmony for choruses. And you can't help to feel my message, even though it's not messagey.
Do you ever run into challenges with that, especially with adults who might find something in what you're presenting not quite in alignment, or who might guess at your deeper political sensibility?
I haven't, but it could be that that's self-regulating, that people who join my chorus or maybe might not keep up with it, maybe are of a different bent, but I'm not sure. I'm not preachy at all. I don't sing things, I don't bring things to choruses that are really hugely, one-sided that way politically. But my songs and other songs that I choose do show my bent. Sometimes I have a comeuppance that's good for me, though. And I'm thinking of one time when I was teaching a song that was a lovely German round, and one of my chorus basses came up to me and said, "I can't sing that because I researched it and I learned that the guy who wrote it was a Nazi." And I withdrew the song from the program. I had no idea.
So, all around the country, there are choruses of all different kinds. You have church choirs, you have community choirs, you have more formal kinds of youth choirs, you have folk singers leading group singing in libraries. Do you have a sense of how your work connects to this bigger picture? I don't know if you're in touch with folks who are also doing this work around the country.
I am in touch, and I do all of those things. And I'm completely in sync. I do church services, I do all kinds of things in all different avenues. It's just so ubiquitous. The power of singing. You remember the quote from John Lewis when he was working with the Freedom Riders? There's a famous quote by him that says, "Without singing, we would have lost our sense of solidarity." And he was so big in the movement, but yet he recognized we needed singing.
Break 'em on down, break 'em on down, these walls between us. Break 'em on down, break 'em on down, these walls between us. Break these walls, break these walls.
The only thing I have trouble with is organizations that have a very set way of teaching music. Some of these programs for children that are corporate now, they don't have any bandwidth for anything different from what they think should be. But other than that, I think we're all one. I think it's just fabulous that all these different kinds of group singing we can honor each other. And honestly, I think it was made even more powerful when COVID hit and we all had to stop, because that was a gut punch to every single person in the world who was singing, whether it was in their tribe in Africa or their community garden and somewhere, or their Bulgarian dancing, everybody realized, not that we didn't before, but it was right in our faces, how huge singing was as a tool for keeping us all together, and whatever kind of singing you did.
There does seem to have been some kind of resurgence post-COVID for people who want that in real life, face-to-face kind of experiences, and in particular something like music, which is so lifting of the spirits and connecting to the people around you. So when you are beginning, when you're working just at the beginning of a rehearsal or a class or whatever, what are some of the warm-up things that you want to make sure you do? And I don't just mean, physically or vocally, but how do you kind of set that tone in that first 10 minutes of working with a group that will ensure some success further on?
It's really important. That is more important than most people think. It's not the warm-up exercises, it's the attitude, it's the welcoming, it's the looking at each person, it's the making sure everybody's seen and everybody feels part of it. And that's done through different little musical exercises, but a lot through the director's attitude and welcoming spirit and not starting really hard, but getting into it slowly and getting everybody comfortable. Yeah, it's a huge part of it. I'm not one to belabor vocal warm-up exercises. I do them, but it's more about getting everybody to relax and know that each one of them is part of this whole and important in this whole. So there are different tricks to doing that. Yeah.
Yeah, it's so the vocal warm-ups become more a way to connect and relax and move into the experience than just the physical aspect of things.
Exactly. It's both. It's both. Yeah, it's warming up your vocal cords and your breathing, but it's the other things are more important to me. Yeah.
Where does this take you from here? You've been doing this a long time. You have a tremendous amount of wisdom and experience about this. I know we talked earlier, you're doing a little bit less than before, which is completely understandable.
Yes, I'm doing a lot less. I had to stop my huge intergenerational chorus when COVID hit. And then by the time you could start it again, 4 years later or so, I'm really aging out of the ability to do that. So I didn't start it again, although I have a reunion sing for them every year, which is lovely. And I'm taking little jobs. I'm just not taking anything steady anymore. And I love writing music, so I'm still composing. And there are so many choral pieces I want to write, as well as, like I said, I tie my hands from writing rounds, but I just wrote one the other day and I couldn't help myself. And then I have a website that helps get my music out to other choral directors or singers or people who like to sing. And so there's always stuff to do on there to post more songs. I want to post my choral arrangements that are not my own songs originally. Right now on my website, it's my music, and then it's music scores with piano accompaniments that I've created so that a choral director can use it, but it's all about my own songs. And I want to now take the 200 or so songs that I've arranged for choruses and post them so choral directors can have a repertoire of things that I've arranged. There's endless things to do that can keep me occupied. I have a little tinge of sadness about the loss of directing choruses in a steady way.
I will include a link in the notes to your website so that people can find the resources that you're talking about. So one more question for you, Joanne.
Sure.
You're going to a group sing. You're not the leader. You're just one person going there. What are between 1 and 3 songs that you might have sort of in your pocket that you feel like will work well for a group that doesn't necessarily know each other, but as a song offers a real powerful incentive or opportunity to sing together?
That I would bring to the group?
Yep.
Yeah, there's one called Singing Together that is a 3-part. It's not exactly a round, it's an African style cyclical song, which is a form that Pete Seeger brought to me and had me write some songs in that style because he learned about it in Africa, but it wasn't known in the West. So now I've written about 15 in that style. Singing Together is one of them. Each group just needs to learn a short line and sing it over and over, but the way they blend together and converge and then diverge, and the parts all converge on one phrase is so exciting. I bring those. Those are easy. And oh gosh, there's so many. There's just so many. I don't even have a category to tell you about. It's more just individual songs that I love, that are easy to teach, there's something I just taught to a group. Some wonderful person in Baltimore wrote The Long and Winding Round about 5 snippets of Beatles songs that all harmonize together. And so I'll bring something like that that's really fun, that's easy, that people can grab right away. But it depends on the group. Some groups are open to a bigger challenge, and I'll bring something complicated and they can do it.
Joanne, thank you so much for talking with me here today. It's been such a great pleasure just to learn more about your work and get a sense of the depth of both who you are and this experience you've offered to tens of thousands of people over the years. So thank you for being part of this conversation.
Thanks, Stuart. It's been a pleasure and an honor.
Singing together heals the soul. Singing together heals the soul. There is nothing as good as singing together. There is nothing as
You've been listening to How Can I Keep From Singing, a production of Common Arts. My name is Stuart Stotts, and my guest today is Joanne Hammil.
we are one when we are singing together.